What's up, guys, and welcome back to Dave TV. I'm David, and welcome to part 2 of how counseling has helped me. But before we get started, I want to say shout out to my mentor, Dapper Dizzy. You gave me the shirt. You know what I'm saying? Stay dapper. Thank you for the shirt. Salute to him, young black mentor out there. And also, you know, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. LeBron James won last night, his 4th ring. Black brotherhood matters. So salute to him. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan personally, but he did it for Kobe. He did it for the brotherhood and the remembrance of him. So salute to them. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Part 2. Here we go. I left you guys off with how I ended middle school. I graduated 8th grade. Things went well. And now I'm in high school. I thought I was going to be a basketball player. Ball is life for a lot of young black men in America, unfortunate to say. So I thought I was going to do that. I went to Crazy Sports. At the time, it was a top 5 high school in New York City in terms of graduation percentage, even though it was located in the South Bronx. And for me, a lot of my friends were actually going to Pelham Prep, Spelman, Lehman. Shout out to all 3 of those schools. A lot of my peers went there, colleagues now, successful people. So it came down to me wanting to go to Pelham Prep. And the reason why I didn't go, the first day I went to go visit, dudes smell like weed, and there's also the metal detectors. I didn't want to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? So South Bronx got there. They accepted me. Shout out to Johanny. Shout out to Felice Laporte. Miss Solano, of course. Right? So I learned about careers in sports directly. Managing, I wanted to go to Fredonia, SUNY Fredonia to manage. I knew I never made a basketball team in my life. You know, ball is life, but I had to be realistic. Like, I'm short, I'm 6 feet. By the time I was in high school, I was only 5'2". By the time I got to 10th grade, I was 5'6". I didn't reach my height that I am now, 5'11", 3/4, you know, 6 feet on a good day, until I reached 12th grade. People saw me after something like, oh my gosh, you guys so let's get into the trauma. The trauma that happened with me in high school was the simple fact that, you know, we learn as black men in America that there cannot be 2 men in the household, right? We saw it on Baby Boy, the movie, classic movie. Rest in peace, John Singleton. I believe he directed the movie. But for me, that movie was reminiscent of my life, the Oedipus complex of having to deal with your mother and kind of being in love with your own mother, being a baby boy. But in a sense, my stepfather saw me in that light that I couldn't do for myself. I wasn't very assertive. I was more passive. But in other ways, when he wasn't drunk, he really saw me and respected me more as a student, as who I was. And this threw me off in a way. It's kind of like manipulation or gaslighting in a way that he saw me one way when he was fine and not drinking, sober, and then another way when he saw me as a young man who was going to school, but he didn't respect me when he was drunk, right? So I had to deal with that. Eventually 10th grade comes, I'm repressing a lot of my anger, and we almost come to blows. I was shaking when we were arguing because shout out Hibachi, Gilbert Arenas. I wanted NBA Live '08, the go-to moves. Fire. I spent my own money on it, $50, and then he tells me this is not your priority. You need to be focused on school, and takes my game. If you remember in my video before this, he took my game and it was going for about 3 years. I forgot I had the game. So me being triggered, remembering this, I'm like, come on, man. Like, you're not doing this to me. I bought it. It's my money. Like, I worked my summer job to buy this game, and then, you know, I said, you know what, F you, I don't care about the game, and then we came to blows. Shout out to all my friends, because, you know, I'm really a passive, non-assertive guy until you push me. So for you to push me, it has to be an issue. Friends and family would say that. So for him, now it's like 7, 8 years, probably almost 10 years, somewhere close to that, where now I'm letting out and I'm yelling at him, and we come to blows, right? My mom says, you got to move with your father. I didn't want to move with my father, who lived in Brooklyn at the time and still does. Shout out to my dad. Shout out to Brooklyn, beautiful place. She wanted me to live with my father. I did not want to live with my father simply because if something were to happen, I would want to stop it or be there to intervene. Right? I didn't want to leave the house, and God forbid my mom dies by his hand. I would have felt so horrendous. But now I'm older, it wasn't my place to look out for her. She's an adult. Like, why do we put our responsibilities on our kids for? Like, let them be kids. Like, you have all your life to be an adult, and only this small window to be a child. I want you guys to remember that. So, with that being said, I ended up going to 12th grade. Beginning of 12th grade, the summer, right, I'm still going, shout out Asphalt Green. I was working at Asphalt Green, my summer job. And when I was working there, my mom starts coming home complaining about neck issues. She's literally going to bed like this, you know. And it turns out that this is why you got to be honest when you go to the doctor. Healthcare matters. I understand the Tuskegee experiment, People don't know what that is. Look it up, Google it. I understand that why we distrust the medical science and the medical field as a whole. But we need to get past it. We need to educate ourselves first and be able to get valued opinions from real people that work in their fields that they're in, right? So the Tuskegee experiment, there's certain articles out there that say that, certain doctors or a certain percent of doctors believe black people have a higher pain tolerance. 2 articles, peer-reviewed articles. You can actually Google it yourself. I majored in sociology, as I mentioned before. I read these articles. Of course, black women die at a higher disproportional rate compared to white and other women. But of course, you need to educate yourself so you can best prepare yourself for the world that you're entering. But health does matter. You understand what I'm saying to you guys? Health does matter. And when my mom, she went to the doctor, she didn't tell him the truth. She was doing cigarettes. She was drinking. So they prescribed the Celebrex, which you should not be subscribed if you're drinking and you're smoking. Right, I at 12th grade, being more computer tech savvy, I Googled these things and I had to tell her myself, like, you should not have been given these things to take this pain medication because you have high blood pressure, you have back pain, you aren't as active as you need to be, you're smoking cigarettes, you're drinking heavy every day, right? So she got it, and the next thing I know, September comes, she goes to the hospital, and she was so high up from the hospital, she said, I have cancer in my eye. I hung up, took it in stride, cried, called her back. She said, oh no, it's actually cancer in her bones, which is multiple myeloma. I believe Dr. Oz, who I watched for years as a kid growing up, they stated that that's one of the top 5 cancers for women. Breast cancer, ovarian, I believe, multiple myeloma. It's 2 more. I can't remember. But I know it's serious. All cancer is serious. So to anybody out there that's dealing with cancer, I'm praying for you because it is something serious that a lot of people are dealing with. Me being exposed, I just gave you a rant on why to be healthy and all that, right? But at the time, I didn't know what cancer was. I thought it was like a cold. I was completely ignorant. I thought the flu was worse. I thought it was something you get because so many people would have cancer, somebody with it, and you think, oh, they're surviving. And it wasn't until later where I learned that it can't be cured. It can only go in remission. So when she got diagnosed with cancer, I didn't know what to do. I just knew I needed to graduate college. So I get into school now, 12th grade passes by, I come to blows again with my stepfather. My mom's telling me, you need to go live with your father again. I said, in my head, I'm like, I didn't go yet, I'm not going. My stepfather eventually, right, now the diabetes and the alcoholism is catching up to him. And then eventually he needs surgery for his toes. They have to remove toes and they have to take a vein from his right leg and move to his left leg, right? So it was a heavy surgery. Now at the time, let's say I'm 20 years old. My first semester of school, I'll put in another video, my college experience, I believe. When I upload, I'll connect the link if possible. At my first semester of school, I was just going down there to BMCC, shout out to BMCC, coming right back home and doing my thing and trying to play games. Try to be a high schooler in a college atmosphere. Won't survive, guys. Like, do better. You know better, you gotta do better, and that's what I had to do. Again, another video I'll post how I did in college and what happened. But going through that, around 2011, I believe 2011, my stepfather was put into a nursing home. At 20 years old, I asked the doctor, I said, what are the odds that he comes out? He looked at me, said, how old are you? I said, I'm 20. And he said, 0%. And I said, oh, wow, thank you for being honest with me. And the reason why is because they'll just keep chopping parts of your body. This is horrendous. This is, like, unfathomable, guys. Because, come on, like, your health to the point where they have to cut a piece of you off. Like, this is not natural. It doesn't make sense why it happens. Unfortunately, I wish he had the education. I wish he had the counseling he needed, my stepfather, to get through it. Such a traumatic event in his life. And at that point, I really felt like he kind of was giving up on life. Like, he was in a nursing home at, like 50-something years old. Say 2011, 2000. He was born in 1963. Can't remember how old he was. Can't do the math now. But pretty much 50 years old, and now his life is basically ruined. He could have came out, wore a boot or wore something, but he was just more lethargic, more lazy, more depressed about it. My mother would see him often. Her dealing with the cancer, going to work, going to chemo for half a day, then going to work, then going to see him. And that's when I knew, like, probably like 2012, 2013 would be her last strong year. But when I got through college through BMCC, I knew I needed to graduate because I want to make her proud. I told my mom specifically, I said, I want to graduate but I want to work. I'm about to quit school. She said, that's good, but you're not going to be living here if you're not in school. So that's why I didn't work. Of course, my own thing, I wish I did have counseling, and this is where we're going to wrap it up right now. I wish I had counseling at that point in my life because I would have been working. I would have been able to adult better instead of being where I am now, where in a way I was learning on the fly of how to adult or be a better adult and deal with personal responsibilities, self-efficacy, as I said in the past videos, self-responsibility, my own privileges, coming to terms with that. Like the privileges that I've had were given to me by somebody who's looking out for me, who loved me, my mom, and now those privileges were gone, years later when she passed. But during the time, her focus wasn't me anymore. It was her husband, who was my stepfather. And, I wish I had counseling at this point because it was a great situation where I had to force myself at 20, 21 to get my license. Shout out Lefty. That's my best man from my wedding. Shout out Lefty. Shout out everybody who looked out for me. You know what I'm saying? Sean, Craig, even my own sister, Aunt Ann. Everybody, my own support system. But I still wish I had counseling because it would have been able for me to come to grips with what I was going through directly. I was depressive. I would wake up whenever I wanted. I had anxiety. I wouldn't want to go to bed. I'm not playing games and whatnot because I'm dealing with my stepfather's in the nursing home and now my mom who go in and out the hospital at given times. So that's part 2 of my video of how counseling helped me, or why I actually should have had counseling during this time. In the previous video, you see how counseling helped me through the divorce of my parents, and how if I had counseling when abuse started, maybe I'd be better off, you know what I mean? Because I was actually eating a lot. My diet was horrible, you know what I'm saying? And it's fair to say this is as big as I've been, quarantine started. But I did have a time in the next video where I explained how I lost weight and how I learned an adult by, 22. I'm 22 years old at the time when my mom finally did pass, and I had to learn to deal with certain things that wasn't taught to me. And as a black man living in America, as a man overall, you're kind of taught to just go do it, handle what needs to be done. And for me, it's like a whoa, I actually have to take time and really figure out what it is I need to do. So that's my story on how counseling helped me. Part 2 of 3. 3 will be out next week. Part 2 should be dropping this week, which is the day after LeBron won. So we're gonna celebrate another black man winning and saluting his brother. Again, shout out to Dapper Diz. I'll leave a link in my description where you get the shirts from. One of my mentors. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.